So now let's have a look at two tasks regarding the customers table. Customers table you see here on the right side, and we should make some selection from this customers table, some selection with conditions. The first task is that we want all customer information. We do not want to select any specific columns. We want all customer information. And we are interested in the customer information from customers which live in the city of Berlin. Who live in the city of Berlin. That's the first task. Customers information from customers who live in Berlin. The second task is we want to get selection of columns, customer ID, customer name, and city from the customers table. And we want to select regarding two conditions. Two conditions should be valid. The customer ID is larger than 40. So select only customers whose customer ID is larger than 40. And select only customers who do not live in London. Not living in London, where the city is not London. So, how are the solutions for these two small tasks? Let's have a look at the solutions. The first solution is like that. Select star. We want all customer information from customers, from the customers table, where city equals Berlin. This is our condition, and we place our condition after the where. After the where, the condition is placed, and we say that city equals Berlin. This should be our condition. Let's check that in our online database. So we see here to select for all customers, and now we add our condition where city equals Berlin. We execute, and we see that only one customer, only this first customer, lives in the city of Berlin. So only for this customer the condition is valid. Other customers do not live in Berlin. How about our second task? For our second task, the statement is a bit longer. First, we see that the columns are specified, the columns which we want to get as a result, the customer ID, the customer name, and the city, be divided by the comma. And then we have from customers, we want to select it from the customers table, and we add a condition. By the way, it's not important if you write where in lowercase or bigger case. It's basically the same. So when you write it here in lowercase, it will be the command for the conditions. So after the where, we place the customer ID condition, and we connect that to the city condition. And you see here that we connect both conditions by this specific statement part, this AND here, it's a logical AND. So both conditions should be valid. The customer ID should be larger than 40, and the city should not be London. City should not be London. And only if both conditions are valid, then the row here, a customer row, is selected. If only one condition is valid, so the customer ID is 40, but the city is London, then the row will not be selected. And vice versa as well. If the city is not London and the customer ID is smaller than 40, then also the customer ID row, the customer row will not be selected. So both conditions have to be valid, have to be true in logical terms, and only then the customer row will be selected. So let's check that in our database. I kind of prepared it here with the select, with the columns from the customers table, where and then the conditions. First condition, customer ID larger than 40 and not city equals London. So let's run that, and we see that there are 49 rows selected, 49 out of 91. So actually we have overall 91 customers, and we select with these two conditions only 49 customers. 49 customers, and let's check the first condition first. The customer ID, is it larger than 40? Look at the customer ID, and for all the customers here in the selection, the customer ID is larger than 40. So this condition is okay. And then let's have a look at the second condition. The city should not be London. City should not be London. Let's have a look at the city. Do we find London anywhere? No, there's no London in this list. So the second condition is valid as well. So we see that with this where and two conditions connected by the and, we select customers for which both conditions are valid, both conditions at the same time. And we can also use another logical function to connect both. For example, or would be possible. And remember that here we have 49 records, and now let's have a look what happens if we run that. We have 87 records if we connect it by or, and we see that either the first condition or the other condition or both are valid. Then the row is selected. So let's have a look at that. The customer ID is larger than 40. That's not valid for all the rows. We have some rows where the customer ID, as you can see here, for example, some rows where the customer ID is smaller than 40, but then at least the other condition should be true. Not city equals London. Is there any London in here? In the customers below the customer ID 40? No, there is no London in here. There's no London. If you look at this column here, there's no London in this part of the list. And then let's have a look at the second condition, or at the first condition actually. The customer ID is larger than 40. I'll run it again. And the customer ID is larger than 40, then there might be some London in there. So if we look at the customers with the customer ID larger than 40, then we might find some London. Yes, here is some London. Then the first condition is valid. The customer ID condition is valid, but the second condition is not valid for this guy here. For the customer with a number 53, the first condition is valid, but the second is not. And then still, one condition is valid, the customer is selected.